Hi guys, how was your summer? Mine was busy. I did an awful lot of shooting, which is nice because when I'm in Italy, obviously I don't really have anyone to shoot yet. Oh, I wish I did, but hopefully that changes. We are headed back to Italy at the end of this month. So I wanted to do just a summer wrap up with you guys and just kind of show you what I have in the works and just share with you a little bit of the work that I've done. If you don't follow me on Instagram, my handle is at Nikki Harrison Art. I don't know about you guys, but I've noticed that my Instagram, interaction, if I go and I look at my analytics, I have tons of people that view and tiny, tiny amounts of likes. And I guess I don't do it for likes, but it just really begs the question, what the hell happened to Instagram? I used to get, 1,000 likes or whatever on an image. Now I'm lucky to get 100, like lucky. And it just confuses me because how is it that I could have had so much more engagement like 8, 9, 10 years ago than I do now? Because in my opinion, anyway, my skill set has gotten a lot better than it was back then. I don't know. So I want to share a couple things, some fun stories behind some of these images. So let's take a look at the first one in my feed here. And this one I shot in my town here in Kelowna in Canada, downtown at Waterfront Park. Now that's right in the middle of like the tourist area. And this is a really cool little enclave. There's little waterfalls in there and everything. And I thought it would be perfect for this shoot with Rennie, who is a really good cosplayer, actually. And I'm finding that cosplayers make really good models, FYI. Anyway, there were 2 homeless men sitting up behind her on the rocks when we got there. And we asked them if they wouldn't mind just scooting out of the way for the shoot. And they told us to F off. So yeah, there was that. So every single shot that I shot of Rennie at that scene had these 2 homeless men. So thankfully, the remove tool does a pretty wonderful job. Okay. This next one is of Asha. So I went to Toronto this summer to spend about 4 days with her. And, we don't get to see each other very often anymore. And over the years of shooting, we've developed a very, very, very close friendship. So we got to spend 4 glorious days together, eating in some of the best restaurants in Toronto. Her and her boyfriend, John, are just amazing foodies. So I got spoiled, which was amazing. But we shot this image in Ash's backyard. And I will show you what the day looked like here. And so this next one, my Rapunzel one, this one was shot in Langley. So I drove out to Langley, which is about 4 hours or so away. And this lovely, lovely Irish lass, she is the epitome of a perfect character insofar as her whole entire passion is to do kind of medieval or ancient kind of character portraits. So she wanted to do Rapunzel for years. And so we managed to do that this time. But I, of course, added in all of the foliage in the background and in the foreground and put the castle in behind because it goes along with the theme of what she is mostly interested in. Now, I do occasionally work with women or models for my collaborations that are more mainstream, but not very often. And the reason being is because I'll give you an example. I had this young lady reach out to me. She was a beautiful Black woman. I was like, yes, love that. Love some diversity in my portfolio anytime, right? We just don't have a lot of diversity here in Kelowna. But she wanted me to collaborate with her and deliver images that would work well with her portfolio. So I looked at her Instagram and it's just your typical Instagram girl that likes to or wants to potentially be an influencer and, travel shots and restaurant shots and, that type of thing. And I said, I really don't see how your style, not that there is one, and my style would really mesh because when I do collaborations, it's pretty much my idea. Unless it's a model that I've been working with for ages and we get creative together and we work really well together, I typically will have an idea, a concept in mind, and I need someone to fulfill the role. So I told her that and I said, I think you'd be better off reaching out to a photographer that specializes in more lifestyle, Instagram kind of lifestyle stuff. I am not interested in that at all. And then, of course, I did a shoot with Sunny. As always, I love shooting Sunny. And this is just a couple photographic shots that I did for her Instagram, because she mostly posts her photography or mostly photographic type of images. But I did do a whole Egyptian pharaoh kind of theme at the same time, or actually right before we shot these. But I have been collecting images this summer so that when I go to Italy, I'm going to have a whole bunch of images that I'll be able to work on, since I can't shoot anyone there. There are a bunch of elderly people in my town that I would love to start a series with, so I am going to try and do that. Language is a bit of a barrier, however. So yeah, I shot Sunny a couple of times. Also shot Mila. So this is lovely Mila. This is the before image. I shot this outside on my little patio right here. And I just wanted to show my students on my platform exactly how to convert it into a work of art and how I did this. So this was done using ChatGPT, a screenshot of the other picture, and also an AI image that had a headpiece that I wanted to replicate and place on Mila. And that, my friends, is a super fun technique to do. So if you're interested in learning that, head over to my platform. I've got lots of cool, really interesting lessons that probably not a lot of people are doing. And then, of course, this again here is my little Irish lass. We did, I think, 3 or 4 different styles in this session, but I just loved the backlight. I loved how ethereal it was. I added in all those long flower weeds into the foreground. Oh, and if you're interested in getting your own PNG files that you can just plunk into your photos, add blur for ones that are further away for more depth of field, things like that. I've got a brand new flowering weed set up that I just put up today. And you might want to check that out, because honestly, for me, I use these items so much. I couldn't live without them. So I thought it was time that I made my own instead of using other people's. So there's my own set up there as well. And this, of course, is a painting that I did of Mila. I love shooting Mila. This dress, believe it or not, I didn't like it. It just didn't do a lot for her. It kind of fell goofy on here, and it wasn't long enough. And I knew I wanted to paint this image, especially because I shot this in my hallway. So a lot of times when I just want to do composites or I want to paint something, I'll just shoot it in my hallway. I get some spectacular results. So here's the before. Yeah, right? Pretty basic shot. But it really goes to show you how drastically you can creatively affect images with a little bit of imagination and forethought. So that's what I did. And so that's that one. You can see this here. This is all digital art. So this is all just hand drawn and hand painted to drastically alter that dress and make it look a little bit more interesting. What else do we have? Yes, and then I did 2 pool shoots this year. This is Sunny. Obviously, Sunny's a rock star. I wanted to paint one, so this is my painted one, and this is another one, and this one was my favorite shot out of the bunch. And that essentially is all I have posted of the shoots that I've done. I've got others, but I haven't actually posted any yet. I've done portraits, obviously, that I don't put on my personal Instagram. Actually, I've got a photography Instagram too that I don't really post on very often. The majority of my work is more creative, but that one has all my child work, and it's just Nikki Harrison photography. So if you're interested in any of my, regular portraits, child work, with that kind of thing, then you'll find that over on that Instagram. All right. So just really quickly to show you some of my flowering weeds that I have created. There's just a few in here. I think I have one more right here. And essentially, I have just cleaned them up and upsized them and taken away any grain or what have you like that. And I've just put them on their own individual layers, and that way you can use them yourself. And all you have to do is just change the color space. So these are all Adobe RGB which should work for everybody because most people do edit in Adobe RGB, but you can change it to Pro Photo if you're working in Pro Photo or what have you. Now, what I typically do when I use these is I will change the hue of the green, the hue of the flowers to match whatever scene I'm putting them in. So I'll just show you that right now. I wanted to show you how to use these floral overlays. So let's just say this is a background that I shot in Italy. This is a model I shot in a studio. So I've already cut her out just using the select subject. And now let's take a look at the flowers. So here's my flowers. Now, obviously, the color isn't going to match the scene, right? So what we have to do is we have to match the color. And there's obviously multiple ways to do this. But what I like to do is I like to just kind of zoom in on the color. Now, how I do this is you can do it one of two different ways. You can create an adjustment layer with a mask, and that usually works if you're going to look at changing two separate colors, which in this case I am. So I'm going to go hue saturation, and I'm going to go right here, and I'm going to clip it, okay? Now, the green is that yellow green, so we know we're going to have to go into our yellows, and I'm going to pull the saturation down on those. But I'm also going to add some warmth to them, so you can see me using my slider. So what I'm trying to do essentially is match the same green in the background with the green in the flowers. And I can also see that there's probably a little bit too much yellow at this point, but you can also reduce the lightness. So right about there, I think matches just fine. Okay, so after you change the yellows to a little bit warmer and reduce the saturation, we're going to try and target this lavender kind of purple color because we want to get it as close to orangey red as we can. And it's going to take a couple steps. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into our blues because we know that there's blue in purple. So we're just going to move our slider over to the more orange part. And I'm going to pull up the saturation so you can see. So it's just the edges there. And then we're going to go to our magenta and we're going to do the same thing. And as you can see here in the magenta, now it's really converted a lot of that lavender kind of purpley color to a more warm-ish orangish color, which would work. We can try to reduce the lightness, but it will affect the color. So I typically will leave it like that. Okay, so once you've done that, and that's your base for getting it started, I'm just going to go ahead and merge these two layers together. So merge them like that. And then you have the option of trying to just use like an overlay blend mode. You can also try going into filter, camera raw filter, and it's going to allow us to really target these particular colors. What you can do is you can go down to, let's say, point color down here, grab your eyedropper tool, and let's just choose this color here. So what we want to do is we want to make it definitely more saturated, but we also want to change the hue so that it's more of that kind of coppery color that we have in our other image. And then come down to variance, and you're going to pull it all the way to the left, and that's going to affect any tiny minute shade of that coppery color. We can pull the luminance down a little bit, and at the same time, because these little weed branches are a little light, let's just grab our tool here again, and we're going to sample that color, and it brings up a whole other color menu. And what we want to do is we want to just really reduce the luminance so that it kind of matches the rest right about there. You can grab another one and choose a lighter color of that orange, and same thing, you're going to reduce the luminance. You can increase your saturation, and then voila, click OK. And now you can see that these flowers are going to match the scene much, much better. So we still have those issues with those lighter colors, and all you really have to do is add a layer above it, clip it, change your blend mode to multiply, and you can choose, one of the green colors, and you can just come in and oh so quickly brush away all those little white dots. Okay, and you want to do this with one of your main florals that you have as a PNG, because then what you can do is you can just duplicate this layer however many times you need to create your scene. Okay, so that's essentially how you manipulate these so that they actually match the image that you're working on, because obviously not every image is going to be perfect for a lavender type of a flower, right? And you also want to make sure that the greenery and everything else is going to match your image as well. So that's basically how I do it. So now we're going to merge these two together, and now we have floral that matches our image. And this is what I do. Typically, if I'm placing these florals in behind my subject, then what I'll do is I'll drag it underneath my subject like this. I'm going to do Command T to transform it, make it a little bit bigger. And now this is behind our subject. So like if I wanted to add these back here like this, I would do that like that. I'm going to duplicate this layer, hit enter, and I'm going to duplicate it because I want to place that one above and just turn it off. So now I'm just working on the background ones. Well, the first thing I'm going to do is try and blend the depth of field, because you can see that that's way too sharp. So we're going to go filter, blur, Gaussian blur. And we're just going to slide this radius over until I feel like it matches the environment. So let's take a look. I can see that right here is in focus, but this particular blur amount, which is only what, let's say 6, click OK. But then I know that I need to move it further back into where the more blurred version is, just like that. And then duplicate that one, grab your grab tool. You might want to place it this way. I'm going to flip it. Command T is my shortcut for flipping. So we can see that. You can make this bigger. You can do it kind of just on the side. So as you can see, there's just so many different ways that you can use these. Like you can get super creative with them. I'm just going to come in and reduce my levels on this one a little bit. Just a wee bit. Like so. Okay. And then when you're working on, let's say, the top one, we're just going to grab this guy here. And now we're on top. I love putting these in front of, let's say, outfits that perhaps have a really kind of crappy bottom and you don't feel like painting it, or you don't feel like, you know, really manipulating with the warp tool or something. Well, a lot of times it's just easier to simply come in and just start covering them up. So that there, duplicate it. I'm going to flip that one because we don't want them all facing the same direction. You can put that there like that. You can duplicate that one, hit transform. You can make it smaller like this. And this is the beauty of doing this. Like you can just come in and add all kinds of really fun, interesting elements to your image. Super quick, super easy. And yeah, so that's how you use those. So you're going to have to really refine the color, or you're just going to use them as is. But yeah, you're going to want to manipulate your blur to make sure you get the proper depth of field. I do have another action that I have added, and I'm actually finding this little action that I made to be so helpful when you are doing multiple floral overlays, particularly if you're doing them over skin. And I'll give you an example why and how. And then what I would do is I would duplicate this to keep that one. But now I'm just going to grab my eraser tool and make sure I have my overpaint brush, because this is the perfect brush for getting rid of stuff. And I'm just going to erase this quickly and easily. And the whole point of this action is that it's going to create your shadow. So if you're like me and you do an awful lot of, you know, different floral overlays over top of your subject, or, you know, you are adding any type of things on top of a human that requires a drop shadow, and it gets a little mundane creating a shadow for images like this that are super detailed and thin little branches like this. So essentially all I did was I came in and I created an action that's going to automatically, with one click, create my drop shadow. So normally with a tattoo, let's say I was doing that, you can change it to multiply. This one, probably hard light. See how hard light is the best one? And now I'm just going to really affect that size a little bit, maybe rotate it, see if I can't get it in a more realistic place. Okay, but when you do that, it's just sitting on top of the skin. You need a shadow. So what I do is whatever layer I'm working on. So if I'm working on like this particular layer, you have to make sure that the name of the layer before you run this action is simply layer 1. Now, when I do that, I also have to make sure there is no other layer 1 in my stack. Okay, because the whole action runs off of the name layer 1, and it will not work if you don't name it layer 1. So what I suggest though, if you have any copies of layer 1, like layer 1, copy 2, copy 3, copy 4, something like that, just name them all like this, 876543. Just make sure there's nothing else called layer 1, even if it's a copy anywhere. So now we have our layer 1 named. We're going to choose shadow right. We're going to click play. So to run this action, I'm going to turn my hard light blend mode off and just go back to normal for the time being, okay? Because you want everything to run perfectly with the action. So shadow right, click play. And now as you can see when I zoom in, you're going to see this shadow underneath it. But here's what you can do. So this one, layer 1 copy, is our actual original layer. This one underneath it is our shadow. So what you want to do is you want to determine if there's enough blur on it. So for this very small little piece, there is. And then you're going to just hit your move tool. And depending on your light source, you can pull it to the right. You can drop it a little bit if it needs to go down a bit. So you're going to zoom out. This is if, let's say, there was a branch over top of her skin and you needed that realistic shadow. We'll just come in and reduce the opacity of that until it looks like a realistic shadow. And that's all. That's all she wrote. So we're just going to delete this and we're going to show you again one more time. So I'm just going to grab this one just for a demo, pull it over. We're not going to worry about changing the color on this one. I'm just going to flip it. So what if I wanted this to be in her hand, let's say she was maybe holding it. So if I did this and then I rotated it, and let's say it was in her hand like that, right? Which is something that I would do often. But if we look underneath here, there's not really a believable shadow anywhere to be seen. So you know you're going to have to create one. And this action just does it all for you just like that. So what we're going to do is we are going to quickly add a mask and a overpaint brush. And I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to take it off the area, obviously, that it would not be showing because it would be in her hand and it would be through that finger. So that would show, and get rid of this right about here. Okay. Something like this. And then obviously, you know, if you were doing this correctly, you would clip multiply blend mode and you would probably just come in and darken that area just for a shadow there because it would be darker. So that's just my OCD brain showing you how my brain works. I see something, I have to do it. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and merge these two together. And now I'm going to make sure that's called layer 1, which it is because I have no other layer 1s. And now all I have to do is, again, let's choose shadow right. We're going to run it. And this is going to be a better example. So when you're running your shadow, you want to just always make sure you're aware of your light source. So if your light is up here, let's say to my left, then obviously my shadow is going to be down here to my right. Okay. So let's take a look at this. So we're going to open up our little stack. Here is our shadow layer. We're going to pull it down a bit and push it to the right. Now you can look here and now you can see that this is a realistic shadow on her skin, which is exactly what we want. If we turn this on and off, you're going to see here, this is realistic too, right? So all of these shadows are now super realistic and you don't have to worry about, oh boy, I got to do this darn shadow by hand. So you can just reduce the opacity, zoom out, turn that on and off. So now you have shadow. And I thought, you know, this would be a good combo to do at the same time as I produce these florals because it's the shadow work that I think gets most people when it comes to adding realistic PNGs. So yeah, I just thought I would show that to you. Any event, I don't know how much more I'm going to have. I was going to do a video on the new features in Photoshop Beta that harmonize. I tell you guys, I tried it. I thought, oh, this is going to be so cool. It's just going to change the world. I wasn't super impressed. I felt like, oh, they got a long way to go before that they can launch that in actual Photoshop. So yeah. Also, Nano Banana. Have you guys tried it? Oh my God, I'm seeing all these ads. Oh, it's going to replace Photoshop. Seriously, I have tried so many different of my images of my people to create new images using my people, and this is what I got. So this is supposed to be my husband. No. I mean, as a gladiator, I think he's super hot. But I still think the image I did of him as Wolverine, so much better. And this is supposed to be me and Asha. So here's the reference image that I used of me and Asha. And this is what it gave me when I said that we were two ladies at Versailles. I don't feel like it barely resembles us. And trust me, I tried, like 10, 15 different times to make it come up with something that looked like us. But no, but that's okay. Anyway, those are my thoughts, and I'm still not worried about any other software taking over human talent. Tell me what you think in the comments below, because I'm a photographer and I'm a digital artist. I love AI for specific things like giving me tools in Photoshop. I think that's fantastic, except not really impressed about the credit system that has been implemented. How about you guys? Now is the time, even more importantly, that I feel like we all need to really get super, super good at our hand skills. We need to be the artist. Don't leave it up to AI. Don't leave it up to all this generate image crap within Photoshop. Screw it. And that's the way that I'm moving forward now. Is it's kind of like a crack thing, right? So, oh, here you go. Here's all these AI tools. I hope you love it. Oh, you develop it. You get it into your workflow. Then all of a sudden, bam, gone. Guess what? You have to pay another $90 a month US to access these features if you want more than 25 credits. No, I'm going to go out, take my own pictures of my own everything and use it the old-fashioned way and stick to it that way. Let me know your thoughts. I'll see you guys soon.